There we go. All right, testing, testing. Can you guys? If you can hear me, drop something in the comments, please. Can you guys hear me? Test, test. Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me? Little technical difficulties this morning, guys. Thanks for your patience. You know, technology is our best friend while it's working, and not so much when it's not. Are you able to hear me on the stream? Question mark. Testing. Can you hear me, guys? If you can hear me, drop something in the comments for me, please. Testing. Can you guys hear me? Here we go. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? I think we may have finally resolved the issues. Perfect. Okay. Thank you for your patience this morning, everybody. My goodness. You know, technology is our best friend when it's working and not so much when it isn't. All right. Well, thanks for your patience. Welcome at long last to Cup of Jonah. Whew. Okay. All right. So without further ado, at last, thank you for your patience sticking with me through this. For those of you still here. Let me see. Please share if you can. Because the post is still not showing up on my X feed. So if you guys could share it if you're here, I would love that. And then I'll retweet those or repost those so that other folks can find us. Quite strange indeed. But here we are. Just another moment here. How's everybody's day going? Let's see here. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Cup of Jonah. All right. So today, chapter 16, obviously yesterday, we asked the question whether God was eternal. So now we move on to the consideration of whether or not there's passive potency in God. Now, passive potency, you remember it was a concept we talked about a little bit yesterday. The idea of act and potency. Act is something that's actually whatever you're talking about. Whereas potency is the ability to be whatever we're talking about, right? So actually moving or potentially moving. Actually moved or potentially moved, right? So that's the idea. EV Mux in the streaming service is either actually working or potentially working. All right. So chapter 16, that there is no passive potency in God. If God is eternal, of necessity there is no potency in him. The being whose substance has an admixture of potency is liable not to be by as much as it has potency, for that which can be can not be. But God, being everlasting, in his substance cannot not be. In God, therefore, there is no potency to being. Though a being that is sometimes in potency and sometimes in act is in time in potency, before being in act, absolutely speaking, act is prior to potency. For potency does not raise itself to act. It must be raised to act by something that is in act. Hence, whatever is in some way in potency has something prior to it. But as is evident from what was said above, God is the first being and the first cause. Hence, he has no admixture of potency in himself. Moreover, that which is a necessary being through itself is in no way a possible thing, since that which is through itself a necessary being has no cause, whereas, as we've shown above, whatever is a possible being has a cause. But God is through himself a necessary being. He is therefore in no way a possible being, or being potential in regards to being, right? Having any potency in regards to being. And so no potency is found in his substance. Again, each thing acts insofar as it is in act. Therefore, what is not wholly act acts, not with the whole of itself, but with part of itself. But what does not act with the whole of itself is not the first agent, since it does not act through its essence, but through participation in something. The first agent, therefore, namely God, has no admixture of potency, but is pure act. Further, just as each thing naturally acts insofar as it is in act, so it is naturally receptive insofar as it is in potency. For motion is the act of that which exists in potency. But God is absolutely impassible and immutable, as is clear from what we have said. He has therefore no part in potency, that is, passive potency. So here too, he's talking about motion, not just in the context of local motion, moving from place to place, but motion of non-being to being, for example, the motion of coming to be, the motion of growing, the motion of learning. Though these are all motions, so to speak, of potency into act. Then too we see something in the world that emerges from potency to act. Now it does not educe itself from potency to act, since that which is in potency, being still in potency, can therefore not act. Some prior being is therefore needed by which it may be brought forth from potency to act. This cannot go on to an infinity. We must therefore arrive at some being that is only in act and in no wise in potency. This being we call God. So again, we have this notion of, like he's kind of looking at the same thing now. We talked about efficient causes. We talked about being as a cause too, or a cause of being. And we said, there has to be one uncaused cause. There has to be one unmoved mover. And now he's kind of broadening a little bit the idea of potency, because obviously, those are all kinds of potency in a way, but he's also talking about just in general potency. Is there any potential to change in God? And he says, even if it's a part of your being, like, for example, I'm sitting here with you guys today, I'm potentially on the other side of the room. I can move myself, but part of me is moving my body, right? My soul is moving my body. So, interesting. So even then, no part in God can be potentially moving, or have any potential at all, because even if we were to say that some other part of him were to move another part of him, then there's it starts to get messy, and then all of a sudden, then there has to be a being, is what he's saying, is there has to be a being that is completely just as completely void of potency of any way, because that which is in potency in any way has to be reduced to or brought forth into act by something that already has it. Remember, you can't give what you don't have. So a little bit of a nuanced argument there that we'll see applied to other conversations and discussions moving forward. But that concept of act and potency, again, we'll see often throughout, because it's a really key concept in terms of whether or not something can change or move, or how something acts or behaves or receives influence from some other being, right? So this idea of act and potency is very important. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. A little bit of a shorter reading today, longer broadcast, just because we had some difficulties, some technical difficulties there. Fortunately, the connection seems stable now. But yes, I appreciate everybody's patience through all of that here. Yeah, so I will, as soon as I'm going to need to edit out the first half of this, which was all full of technical difficulties and inaudibleness. And then I'll be posting this up on X, which the post didn't seem to appear on X either. So I'll share the YouTube link on X so that folks can find it. It'll be pinned at the top of the page there. So thanks again for your patience this morning. And appreciate you all, and we will talk to you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of unexpected turbulence in our cup of Jonah this morning, but appreciate your patience, and we will see you tomorrow.